Hey, folks, so I'm going to pick up the last story about the Prince of Darkness and continue on here. I was pretty rattled when I left the squadron that day after Butch had been fired. Butch meant a great deal to me, and I just enjoyed his company. I enjoyed learning from him. I enjoyed flying with him. So I'm driving back, and I start thinking to myself, man, if that's the way they can take you out, I don't want any part of it. I really enjoyed being a T-38 IP. I just loved it. But boy, I did not like the politics. I had no use for them. So I began thinking, okay, Butch's squadron commander board was about to meet. That's why they took him out of the competition. Just take him off the playing field. And mine was probably going to meet in a year or so. So I began to think, what else is it you would like to do? Well, I'd spent a career trying to get into fighters, and that just didn't work. And then I spent the same amount of effort trying to get a C-141, which I had flown in 71, 72, 73, and I enjoyed it. So I thought, well, maybe I can go back to Starlifters. But I wanted to go to McChord. So I began thinking about that more and more and preparing for it a little bit more. And I decided, well, I think what I'll do is look to that as a way to coast out my Air Force career. Like I said, I enjoyed flying the C-141, so that was not an issue. So one day I called up to headquarters MAC, officer assignments. Now, throughout my career, every time I was turned down in application for a fighter assignment, I'd call up the MAC and I'd say, hey, listen, I'm coming up for assignment. I'd like to go to McChord. And they say, well, we're overmanned in captains. We're overmanned in majors. We're overmanned. Oh, Jesus. So I had enough of that overmanning crap. So anyway, I called up to headquarters MAC, and this guy answered the phone, and I thought to myself, that name's familiar. That name is familiar, but don't toy with it just yet. So I asked him, I said, listen, I said, this is Bob Holliker, and I said, I'm coming up for an assignment here in 9 months or so, and I said, I'd like to explore the possibility of coming back to C-141s at McChord. And this kid says, well, sir, he says, what do you do? And I said, well, I'm the chief of stand of Val here at T-38 PIT at Randolph. And I said, I haven't been fired. I haven't been told to go look for a new job. I said, I just thought I'd explore the opportunity to fly operationally one more time before I retired. And he said, well, sir, he says, we're overloaded in lieutenant colonels at McChord. And I said, of course you are. I said, I'll tell you what. Would you accept the by-name request from the wing commander? He said, yes, sir. And I said, okay, what is his name and what's his phone number? So he gave it to me. I said, thank you very much. So then I called up to the wing commander's office and got a Lieutenant Colonel Brooks was his name, answered the phone. He was wing commander's horse holder. And I explained to him the same drill. I said, well, listen, I said, I'm down here at Randolph, and I'm looking for an opportunity to fly operationally once more before I retire. I said, I haven't been fired, I said, but I've been instructing now for X amount of years, and it's probably time to go look at greener pastures or look at doing something else. I don't know if they were green. Well, they probably were up there in McChord. It's green all year round. Anyway. So he said, well, I'll tell you what. He said, we're always looking for good people. He says, why don't you send a package up and we'll take a look at it. And I said, okay. I said, it'll be on your desk later this afternoon, sir. And he said, well, okay. So we hung up, and I called another friend of mine up there at McChord who had been stationed with us down in Australia. And I had pre-positioned 5 years of my last officer efficiency reports, OERs. I'll pick my official photo and some other odds and ends, record of my schooling and so forth. So I sent all that up to him. That cough must have come out nice on this new mic. I apologize for that. Still getting acclimated to it. Next time I'll choke myself. Anyway, so I sent all all this material up to Tom and pre-positioned it. So I called Tom and said, "Hey, Tom, will you run that package over to Lieutenant Colonel Brooks in the wing commander's office?" He said, "I'll have it over there 1 o'clock." We were friends, and he said, "Would love to have you come up here." So he was in my court. So I just kind of dropped that, and we were heading out on leave for about 5 days. So we went out on leave, and when I got back, I had a call from my secretary there at in Stanival, and she says, "Colonel Holliker," she says, "I received a call from Lieutenant Colonel Brooks, and he asked you to call him immediately." And I said, "Well, okay." So I put on my flight suit, went in and called him, and he says, "Yeah, listen," he says, "we took a look at your record," and he says, "the boss was fairly impressed. Don't know if he's going to let you just fly the line." He says he's got a couple other things in mind, but if you want to come, he's going to submit a by-name request for you. And I said, "Great." So I did. And I was really happy about that. Going to C-141s, going to McChord, always wanted to live out in the Northwest. And so I was pretty pleased about that. And here in the next video, I'll tell you the rest of the story. It gets very interesting.